What's up, ladies and gents? It is Wednesday, and we got a special 1 p.m. time show for you all today. Let's just jump into this. How about that?
Shut up and sit down.
The Business Bros Podcast was created for you. Learn from the business professionals who come to share their stories. Find out what's working in business, on social media, what's hot and what's not, straight from the mouths of successful entrepreneurs out there doing the real work. And now, welcome to another episode of
Business Bros. And I am excited, ladies and gents, how to earn $3 million using consulting business. Jeff is going to sit here and he's going to tell us all about what he's up to, as well as helping you guys figure out how do I get myself from being a solopreneur to establishing my business there so that I actually have time in the day to do the things that I want to do rather than being stuck doing the things I have to do. Jeff, welcome to the program.
Hey, Hernan, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.
All right, man. I'm excited. One of the things I forgot to tell you in the show prep is I love my movie quotes, so I'll throw random stuff throughout the show. So normally I do that in the pre-show.
Bill and Ted.
Okay. Bill and Ted. Some old. You talking old school? I got some old school stuff. So let's see how it goes. All right, Jeff, tell me a little bit about yourself. A little background information on, who you are, how'd you get to where you are today?
So I am currently the managing partner of CIO Professional Services, and that and a nickel will get you nothing. Actually, that and $4 will get you a cup of coffee. But I come from a long line of Welsh coal miners who became professional soldiers and policemen to get out of the mines, and I'm the first male of my first generation, my brother did too, to go to college. So we came up, we never starved. We came up kind of lean and makes you hungry. I came out of college and went to work in industry and was running factories, and I was gauging my career progress by how big a factory and how big a staff, and I got more interested in putting in systems to run those factories. So then I went into the software business, still working for other corporations. Then I ended up with an outfit called Ernst & Young, which many of your people that would now go by EY, and spent 15 years in there on various bigger and bigger roles around the planet. And I came to this epiphany one day that job had eaten my life, and by that I mean I'm making a ton of money, big, powerful, finest hotels in Europe, you name it, flying first class everywhere. And I did my physical presence test for my Dutch taxes because I was living in the Netherlands at the time for EY. And the number I didn't believe, so I did the calculation 2 or 3 times because I was sitting in first class on another airplane ride. And the answer was 72. And so what that meant was that prior year, Dad was home 72 days, 6 days a month, while my wife was raising 3-year-old twins on a big estate in the Netherlands. And I was like, that's just plain wrong. It was a slow and insidious, more power, more money. Sure, Europe. And I was like, holy crap, that's not a way that's a way to die. It's not a way to live. So anyway, unraveled that, and left EY with 2 other EY guys and opened up a small consultancy firm. Ramped it up to $3.5 million in about 2 years, and sold it for that. So I'm in the consulting business. So we give people strategy. We help them deal through transactions. We're big deal negotiators. That sort of thing. And a consulting practice is only worth somewhere between 0.8 and 1.2 of its backlog under contract, meaning work that you've sold that you haven't burned down yet. So we sold it for $3.5 million because we had about $3 million in backlog. Otherwise, we'd have sold for pennies because without backlog, we had no value. We weren't Gartner or something like that. So anyway, one guy retired, one guy went to Bearing Point. I went, what the hell did we sell that for? So 12 years ago, I started this firm I got a few other people together. They all wrote little checks just to get earnest money. So we had enough to get started. And now I'm the last man standing. 2 people have retired. One went back into industry, one went to a competitor, and one we fired for malfeasance. So, but basically I've been the head honcho of this all this time. So, one of your intros is, how do you make $3 million in this business? Well, you make $3 million in this business by having a $12 million business, right? So
Well, let's
My
let's let's take a pause here because
yeah,
there's I mean there was so much that you've gone through already, and I want to kind of go back to that 72 number that you had.
yes,
72 days that you were home, and the rest of the year you were gone. Most people would hope for a vacation of like 2 weeks if they're working at a place, right? They get 2 weeks, maybe
mhm,
4 weeks,
yep,
but 72 days home, that when a solopreneur like thinks back, like there's people who have been in their business for a long time. They spend so much time in their office. If you added up the time that they're at their office compared to the time that they're at home, that's the realization that a lot of people get, and they feel stuck, but they don't know what to do about it. What happens at that point? What steps do I need to take to change my stars, essentially, right? To change the path that I'm on, so that I can build something that maybe at some point in the future I can sell it, or maybe at some point in the future I can step away and take 72 days off versus
yep.
being for 72 days. What
Mhm.
what did you do exactly? What triggered in your mind? How did it click? What maybe the balls you had to just walk away and do your thing versus continuing forward and maybe asking the boss, hey, maybe I need some more time to be home or something.
It was pretty frightening actually. But the luckily E&Y had decided at this point in time to sell their consulting practice to an outfit called Capgemini, which was a European-based operation. So I ran the manufacturing, high tech, and automotive sectors for all of Europe, Middle East, and Africa for EY. And now I had a new boss because we just sold the business to this other outfit, and it became clear that he and I did not see eye to eye. I was like, well, what are we going to do for a global rate card? He says, oh, we don't need one. I'm like,
Mhm.
well, I just got done doing this. So anyway, so as an expatriate out of the U.S., the hard thing to do is find your way back. And I was able to, use a lifeline and get back to, the Silicon Valley, and promptly started looking around like, okay, this match ain't made in heaven, and I need to find a way out. And a couple other like-minded colleagues were, in the same boat. They're like, yeah, this isn't going to work out real well. So we sucked it up and left. And what going from a $4 billion business with 100,000 colleagues that you could call 5,000 of them into battle at any given time to there's three guys. That was pretty frightening. Going from making big money as an Ernst Young partner to you got
Nothing.
nothing. It was, you had to have a fairly good stockpile to burn down whilst you got your first couple of engagements. Then you get your first couple of engagements, and in my business, like any business, nothing sells better than delivery of quality service or goods to your current customer, because A, you'll get more share of wallet from them, and B, they will give you referrals to their friends and their colleagues. So I mean, that's our
Now,
go to market is generally through our networks.
now you're dealing with high income. I mean, your sales ticket price for certain things are much higher than the average person who's selling things. That are listening right now.
Right.
However, the fundamentals to landing those deals are still the same. What are some of the daily activities that you were doing back then to help land some of those deals and get you in a position where you were now generating income versus burning through your stack?
Okay, so let me make a quick recommendation of a short read, probably 150-page book called How to Be a Rainmaker, How to Become a Rainmaker, from a guy named Jeffrey Fox. I buy 10 of them at a time, and I give them to every one of my new people when I bring them in. Um, and one of the great quotes out of that is everybody is somebody's somebody. And what that means is that everybody you talk to, everybody you meet, has a relationship with someone else who might be important to you. So, and this is, maybe you learned this in kindergarten, but be nice to everybody, because you never know who somebody is. And conversely, a lot of entrepreneurs have a great product idea. They've got a great, service idea or something like that, but they fall into that trap of, oh, I can't sell. Salesmen are born. I can't do that. It's like, well, that's nonsense. Because the fact I put a clean shirt on today and you brushed your teeth this morning means you care about your front image, means you're selling because you care about how you look, how you present yourself to somebody. That is selling. All right. So don't I frequently, there's only 17 of us right now. We're a little lean at the moment. But anybody new is always like, oh, I can't sell. I was like, yeah, you can. And then you'd sell by delivering quality service to your existing account, your existing client. Do something well. That is selling. So, don't get caught up in having to dial for dollars or cold call or buy databases to spam people. Work your way through your network. And the other, and so here, this is the other tip I give everybody who joins us. We have an intro pitch deck. Every firm should have an elevator pitch deck. The old story of, if you're riding up in an elevator, what would you tell somebody about your business or your services for the next 90 seconds? All right. It's got to be short, sharp. It's got to be compelling, because if you don't get an account or a prospect to lean in the first 15 seconds of your discussion of the tell me more, you've lost them because they're thinking about something else. Right. But the deal is, relative to your elevator pitch, work through the people who just, tell them, look, I've developed this pitch for the product, the service, whatever business I'm in. I'd like you to listen to it and tell me what works, what doesn't, what's wrong with it, what I could do better, what I'm not stressing that I should stress, whatever it is like that. Because everybody will take a call to help you. But if you call that same friend and say, hey, look, I've just developed the world's greatest, fidget spinner, and I need to sell you a gross of them. They're like, yeah, like, how's it never? It's never good for you. Thank you. Goodbye.
Get out of here.
But everybody will take the call to help you. So that will get you practice. That will refine your pitch. About a quarter of the time, it might actually stick with them. But the last question in that discussion is, who do you know that I should talk to about this? So you've just prospected your network for their network that isn't your network, for some ideas of who else you should go talk to. And then when you call Fred and Bill says, Bill told me to call you, Fred, and Fred calls Bill and says, did you send her nod? I was like, yeah, I did. You should talk to him. Okay. So now you're good. You got a warm intro. So everything's done through our personal networks. And honestly, that's the way most business is done. No buying decision is made that isn't on a personal pain point. It's about me. It's not about the company objectives. It's about me. Right. So anyway,
I love that. I mean, it's funny you talk about that. I was listening to a podcast just recently, and they were saying something very, very similar. They're like, look, if you're having money problems in your business, if you're not making sales, it's because of what you're doing with your time. Think about it. If you're not making an offer, if you're not presenting what you're offering to people 90% of the time during your day, then you're not going to make a sale. You're wasting your time doing other non-money making activities. And what you're describing there, whether you're selling that particular prospect directly or not, you're going to get feedback. You're going to get to the point where, at first your pitch is not going to be very well. They're going to be like, well, you could do this, you can do this, you could do this, you should change this. I didn't like this.
I don't get it.
I don't get it. That is not a negative thing. That is actually positive feedback. That's where you take that information, you go back, you adjust, and then you come back to more people and say, hey, I got this. You use the same pitch. And eventually what they're going to say is, how do I get involved in that? How do I become a part of that? And that's how you got the right pitch. Has that been your experience so far?
Yeah. And human beings as social animals, we are honestly geared to help people. So people, friend of, even if I don't know them all, hey, I need you to help me with something, like, oh, sure. Laws is not moving furniture, but I mean, if you want me to you want me to critique something, you send me your resume, I'll tweak it, that sort of stuff. We're all geared to help people. So that, take advantage of that. Don't feel like you're being a burden. Don't feel like you're doing something, onerous or you're asking too much. As I've always told my people, I even told my kids growing up, when if you're negotiating a deal, you should always ask. The worst they can do is say no, but you should always ask, right?
Well, and here's the thing about asking, though. It's uncomfortable. Right? Yeah, it's uncomfortable to ask somebody for their email address, their phone number. I mean, think about it when you go back to the money's an even worse one, right? But think about dating, for example. I remember growing up as a kid. By the way, this was before internet, so and I had to memorize my friends' phone numbers. But we'd go to the mall, right back when the mall was a cool place to hang out at. And, you go and you see a pretty girl. What do? You got to somehow talk to her. You got to somehow get her to like you or to give you, the time of day. And hopefully, if you're lucky, she's going to give you her phone number. that is the most awkward situation that a guy
yeah.
can ever be in. Or, guy goes up to a girl at the bar, right? I mean, it's the start of every joke or whatever, but that's the uncomfortable situation. And the ones who win are the ones who try over and over and over again. I always found it funny. I would tell my friends, I'm like, do you see that ugly guy right there? And you see how beautiful his girl is? You know what the difference between him and you is? He asked. He went up and said hello to the girl. She probably thought she was horribly ugly because no guy would ever talk to her. But she was the most beautiful one. And guess what? That guy won because he went out and gave it a shot. And that's the same MO that I try to share with people. And I'm glad to hear that at the level that you're at in your, years of being in multiple different businesses, it comes down to those basic qualities. Are you willing to ask for the business? Are you willing to present what it is that you want? Or, ultimately, are you willing to be vulnerable and ask for help? Really what it comes down to is what the way you're explaining it. Does that sound about right?
Well, yeah. And, as retired LA Kings Wayne Gretzky always said, you miss all the shots that you don't take.
That's right.
Take the shot. Oh, I missed. Oh, well, at least I took the shot. I mean, I've always been a big believer in errors of commission versus errors of omission, meaning do something that may not be perfect, but you're doing something as opposed to waiting till it's perfect and then you do it. Right. So, take the shot.
We got some fans here. That's my son. He's watching. He's taking.
Hey,
cool. I was
cool.
like, all right, cool, son. I'm gonna let you hop on here.
Well,
No,
that's
you're
real
right,
life. This is what we do for a living, but that's real life,
Yeah,
So,
that's true. Wayne Gretzky also said the other one, which was, how did he become so successful? He never skated to the puck. He went to where the puck was going to be. And then, what's your take on that? What do you think he's saying when he's talking about that? Other than literally he's skating to where the puck's going to be.
Well, in the consulting business, particularly as we're in the information technology side of things, you've got to stay current. You've got to stay up on top of what's the latest technologies. What's, when COVID-19 hit, came out strong in February, March, and suddenly everybody's working from home. That put a lot of stress on networks. That put a whole lot of stress on security. So we quickly developed a work from home assessment that you could use to take to your employees to see, are they satisfied? Are they getting what they needed? So, you've got to stay out in front of it. I mean, I don't think there's, you were talking about pre-internet days. You remember those pink message pads that said while you were out, somebody wrote, somebody calls, like, yeah. No, nobody's selling any of those anymore. Nobody's selling many answering machines anymore. It's like, go where it's going. You can't sell a lot of buggy whips anymore, right? So
no, you're absolutely true. I mean, things are changing almost by the minute. Well, let's hover a little bit on the whole COVID thing.
Sure.
And you kind of hinted on that, but I know that, for example, I saw yesterday or today, I forgot, that Rubio's is filing for bankruptcy. They're on their way out. And I don't know if they're going to restructure or not, but they're filing for bankruptcy, and we're having a lot of small businesses that are struggling just to stay afloat. What kind of things do you think they should be looking for in the upcoming maybe 2021, the trends, the way things are going now that we have, this thing started in March. We have a good 7-8 months of data of where things are going, trends that have been happening. We can kind of start to forecast now that we've decided that it's not vacation. This is our new way of life.
This is not a snow day. Yeah.
It's not a snow day. What advice are you giving your clients to help them put themselves in a situation to make 2021 a phenomenal year versus the residue of 2020?
Well, if you're in the hospitality business or the restaurant business and things like that, that's a tough market. A lot of people were able to pivot to takeout and outdoor dining, but half of America is going to go into winter, and you're not going to be outdoor dining in Bismarck, North Dakota, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, that barely pays the freight. So, but for a lot of businesses, be glad you're not heavily invested in commercial real estate, because I don't think that's ever going to come back, because the form factor of cubicle next to cubicle next to cubicle, every other cubicle is going to have to be empty now. And that's going to be that way all of next year until, widely distributed vaccine and we've actually got a handle on this thing. So, it's a pretty broad question relative to our business. We had, for years, I had said that because we don't have an office. We have a UPS store. My intergalactic headquarters is this big and it's got a keyhole in it. It's Suite 339, but it's actually post office box 339. Anyway, and I always said, well, we don't need an office because we don't make any money in our offices. We make our money in the clients' offices. Well, we haven't been in a client's office since March, but we're still selling, delivering, and we have happy clients. So you got to pivot to what's available. Not everything can be done remotely, but if you're in the car detailing business, well, you still got to go touch their car. So just, make it clear your offer will be wearing masks and gloves, and we will disinfect this thing when we're done and we give it back to you, or whatever you've got to, I mean, it's fear, uncertainty, and doubt, right? So your offer has to address the human fears, uncertainty, and doubts that they have about, their own personal safety. Because as I said earlier, all buying decisions are made on personal pain points. All rejections are made on personal pain points too. So, I did just have my wife's car detailed. And if I thought there was a health risk, her car would stay dirty, it would just,
Not worth
so
it. Not worth the investment at that point.
well, exactly. Well, in my mind, maybe somebody else's mind, they could care less. They're not worried about it, So, you've got to be sympathetic or empathetic to what concerns your clients have and how you might address them. So that doesn't really help somebody pivot their business, other than, if you're in a high touch business, you've got to figure out what's the no touch offer or low touch offer, that sort of thing.
Let's talk a little bit about your team. You've put together, you said you're about 17 strong right now.
Right.
How do you choose the people that come on to work with you? How do you structure that as far as, their pay, as far as their roles and responsibilities? How do you choose the right person and put them on your team?
So again, a lot of it comes through the personal networks and that sort of thing, and friends of friends. And I always tell my crew that, do you have confidence that this person will carry their end of the log when it needs to be done? I mean, so in our business, we have a lot of milestones, deadlines. We got deliverables. This is due at the end of the month, and the software's got to work, or the server's got to light up, or whatever it might be. Is this the person that's going to keep you from eating pizza in the conference room at 10 p.m. at night on a Friday night, as opposed to, being home relaxing? So that's how I couch it for my people when they're bringing people in. Is like, are they going to keep you from having to do extra work because they're going to carry their part of the load? Right. So it's kind of that simple. Obviously there has to be some technical capabilities. But you can teach tech, you can't teach behavior. You can't really, because I mean, most of our folks are multi-decade veterans. I don't think I got anybody on the team that's got less than 25 years of experience, right? So where they're all older dogs. And so their behaviors are known, so they're known quantities in the business. So it's a little easier for me. For anybody who's starting a business and like, I want to hire this person as a sales rep. Have they got a demonstrated sales track record, or do I want to hire this person as an engineer or developer, or whatever? What have they done in the past? But they've got to fit with the team. They've got to fit in the team dynamics. So you've got to be a judge of character. And there's an old saying around here about hire slow, fire fast. There's nothing that will crater a good team like tolerating a bad team member. Okay, so be a little judicious about bringing somebody in, and if it's not working out, make it clear to them what the performance objectives are that have to be met for it to work out. And if that doesn't happen, cut them loose immediately.
See you later.
Well, because everybody else is watching, right? The rest of the teams, are you're babying that guy or that lady. She's not carrying her end of the log. Why is she getting away with this? So anyway. Separate topic. You asked about pay. Okay, yes. So we run a 100% variable compensation shop. And by that, I mean, people make very good money when they're working, and they don't make a thing when they're not. So it is a sell, bill, or starve model, right? So Therefore, people are incented to grow the engagement. Once you're in at a client, it's easy to find more work in our business. Not doesn't apply to a lot of your people, but if it's very clear to our people. So I got a real simple model, and anybody who's thinking about a services business, you ought to write this down: 60, 25, 15. And by that I mean, so for every billable hour we deliver, the person that did the work is guaranteed 60 cents on the dollar. The firm, to pay the $2 million of errors and omissions insurance and the website and the marketing bill, takes 15%. The remaining 25% is all sales commission to be shared amongst the people that drug it in and skinned it. Okay, so if somebody's at a client, they want to make more money, it's like, well, go expand the engagement, go sell some more work in there, and you'll get a big chunk of the 25 because you went and found this work, right? So even I don't take a salary. I mean, it is a sell builder star for me, but I'm the primary rainmaker. So I make most of my money out of that 25%. I've got people that made, good 6-figure incomes last year or this year on the 60%. And they're basically sit and wait for the call to go do something as opposed to go sell something. I make all my money out of the 25. The 15 is nobody's going to get rich on that.
Yeah,
It'll be a nice vacation or a weekend, but it's certainly nothing you're going to retire on.
that's a great strategy to put in place, though.
I got it from my dad. He said no one ever went broke sharing profits. So in my business, I have competitors, large and small. And at EY, it was basically a third, a third, a third. So a third went to the person delivering the work, a third went to the firm, and a third went to the partners that they divvied up. My nearest competition is 45% to the people, 25% in sales, 15% in sales, and the other 40% to the company. So I mean, I pay better than my competition, both in sales and in just hourly comp, and the firm takes a smaller bite, but that helps us grow. I mean, because really, you can't, as an entrepreneur, you can't get to some level and decide I want to stay there. You're either going to grow or you're going to shrink. You can't get to some plateau and say this is good. That is unless you're not looking to grow a business. So I see a lot of entrepreneurs. There's plenty of startups here in the Silicon Valley they're really more interested in a lifestyle business, something that will make them enough money that keeps them and their families comfortable, but they're not going to grow this business tenfold and sell it in 5 years for something significant. They've got a lifestyle business. So that's a question an entrepreneur has to ask themselves in their heart of hearts is, what do I want and what am I willing to do to get it?
That's deep and introspective, because I can guarantee you most of the people that are starting their business don't think at that level. They start thinking at that level maybe when they're thinking about an exit strategy, but they start thinking, and oftentimes it's, you know what, I'm quitting my job. I'm tired of the way the boss does it. I'm going to do it my way. And they go off and do, they become that technician, that person that's doing the work all the time, but they never had to deal with the other side of it. They never had to deal with, the going out and making the sales. They never had to deal with the HR issues, dealing with the people inside, and that, I think, is what is one of those limiting things. You spend so many years trying to figure it out as you go along, where if you took that time ahead of time just to kind of plan out what it is that you're looking to accomplish and then executing a plan, I think that makes a big difference in the outcome of whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. And it could be not just business, it could be health related too. Don't just hop on a treadmill and decide to run today because you're going to do it. Think about what you want to achieve. Is it weight loss, or do you want to, get nice biceps or shredded legs, or whatever the case may be? Figure out a plan and then work towards executing that plan. And I think that's what you have really well built out here. When you bring a team member on, this is a structure, the pay structure that you have there totally makes sense, because now the accountability falls on each person on the team. First of all, you talked about how they're not going to, they better be able to hold up their end of the log, let them go if they're not part of the team. And then second, the way you pay them is adding to that value system that you have, those pillars of value systems that you have in your business. You're saying, look, you're either going to be the guy out there going and casting the net and fishing, and here's the portion that you can earn from that, or you're going to sit back and we're going to put you to work, but be ready to pull the trigger, because that's where your main income source comes in. That's a great model.
And we run full transparency. Everybody in my firm knows where every penny comes from and where every penny goes. Everybody knows how much I make. I know everybody knows how much everybody else makes because they're seeing the effort.
Hmm. That's and again, that's a true team. So when you're thinking about selling this thing off later down the road, or passing it on, whatever you're going to do, is that a full team decision, or do you have a set partnership built
Well, from
in?
an equity percentage, I've got 96%, and two other folks have 2%. Basically, the six partners had it all split up, and as all they left, I would just buy them out. So, I mean, but it's not a whole lot of money. I mean, it's like, but it's at what is known as an LLC, limited liability corporation, which is a checkbook business relative to your taxation. You sweep all the cash out of the business and distribute it to everybody at the end of the year. So they pay the taxes against it instead of the firm paying the taxes against it and nobody getting the benefit of that money. So, it's you start January with a pretty lean bank account and build it up over the course of the year. I'm not sure I completely answered your question though.
Well, no. Well, it was leading into what's the plan for the future.
The exit strategy.
The exit strategy.
What I would really like, and what I've got a couple folks. I've still got two kids in college, so I'm not done anytime soon. But I would like this to continue on after I'm gone. So I've got a couple of folks who are kind of the heir apparents here, and making the connections for them, and we have some very defined methodologies and approaches and things that they don't need me to do that. So it's the business itself, they could continue to deliver. What I've got to do is get them into the positions where they can generate the leads and the revenues. And so I've got a couple folks I'm bringing up that because I mean, and maybe it's just ego that I would like this to continue when I decide I'm done.
The other side is you actually experienced the sales side, right? So you sold it, and then you were thinking back. I mean, literally, you told me, you were like, "Well, what did I do that for?" That's a little bit of regret. So this time around, you're like, "Well, you know what? Maybe I don't want to sell this one off. Maybe I want to, pass it on, make sure I maintain an equity share. Maybe put that, that interest into a trust, or maybe have a kid run it, or whatever the situation's going to be."
Yeah.
But at least you've gone through that in the past to decide, what it is that you want to do going forward.
Yeah, we've been approached a couple times in the last few years, and I wasn't that interested. I just wasn't. I was still too. I like what I do. I'm having fun. So that do what you love and you'll never work a day of your life, I think is kind of nonsense, because it's still
you work every day.
I'd rather go fishing or golfing, but I do have things I need to do, but I really like what I do. I really enjoy solving issues.
Well, it's funny because I say the same thing, and I think it really comes down to purpose, right? Like, we as human beings need purpose. Doing nothing sounds fun until you're actually doing nothing, and then you get bored really fast. It doesn't pan out the same way. But but having purpose every day, waking up and knowing what you're going to do, those are some of the most successful, some of the most memorable times. And I tell people all the time, you remember the show Married with Children, Al Bundy, he'd wake up every day. He had zero purpose in life, and his life was miserable, always reflecting back to the high school days, when he scored that touchdown. Well, the high school glory days are glory days because he knew what he was doing. He knew what time he had to be in class. He knew what time he had to be at football practice. He knew what time for everything. He had purpose. And so, never work a day in your life. Well, it's still work, but it's the purpose that you have to wake up every day that motivates you to keep going. And we need that. I don't think that that ever goes away.
Oh, I think you're right. I mean, and it's anybody who's an entrepreneur has probably got a lot of type A in the personality, and we type A's are better off at 120% loaded than we are at 80% loaded. Because if we've got spare time we don't know what to do with, we're going to get cranky and become difficult to deal with. If we've got too much stuff to do, we're happy because we're running between things,
Absolutely. Well, Jeff, hey man, thank you very much for spending some time with me on the show and getting to know you. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. And again, a lot of stuff that you share for me, it always comes down to the fundamentals, right? I mean, the Dodgers just won the World Series, and they didn't get there, by having some one trick play that makes everything work out, some one grand slam that gets them to the World Series. It doesn't work that way. It's the fundamentals of the game that get you, through every inning, that get you ultimately to that big game and that win. And I think it works the same way in business and in life. If we focus our attention on the fundamentals. It doesn't matter whether you're closing $3 million deals or $3 deals. The fundamentals work the same way, and they'll help you get to where you want to go. And you helped express that today. So thank you very much.
Yep. There's the overnight sensation usually has about 5 to 10 years of perspiration in the background, right? You know?
That's right. That's right. You'll be praised in public for what you do, what you practice in private, right? That's how it works.
Right. Cool.
All right, Jeff. Well, thank you very much, ladies and gents. Make sure you guys give us a little bit of love. Show us some subscribes, rates, likes, loves, whatever. Send me a message at Business Bros Pod. And next, if you guys ever have any questions, make sure you guys check that out. All right, Jeff. Again, thank you very much.
No problem, Hernan. Anytime. Thanks a lot.
Later, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Business Bros Podcast. Are you looking to get more clients or to increase your income? Hernan, the business bro, can help you generate referrals through the power of podcasting. And James, the insurance bro with Pipeline Insurance, can help you effectively add insurance to your existing business. If you are ready to create wealth today and generational wealth for tomorrow, email businessbros@csfirst.com to schedule a free consultation or join the Business Bros Network, www.businessbros.biz.